Hello, welcome to a quick tutorial for resizing your image, or at least increasing the canvas size of your image. We're starting this based on a previous tutorial, and this is going to be really short. All we're trying to do is make sure that this image has the right dimensions for the overall thing without trying to scale or squish or stretch it. So right now we have the image that we cropped out just to kind of get it centered and take out any extra information. What we want to do is make sure that this image comes out to be 11 by 14. You can also do this to set it to any size that you need. So if you were to put this on 11 by 17 paper, you could decide to put it there. If you're putting in a larger size that you wanted to start arranging things around it, like 24 by 36, Arc D size, then you could do that as well. But we're just going to make this 11 by 14. This will also tell you where you can find this information, both the resolution of your overall image and then how large it actually is. So the place we go for this is up in Image, and you'll see this dialog pop up. There are two things here, image size and canvas size. If we were trying to increase the size of the image, and that would mean taking the image and increasing it so that all your lines would, double or triple in size, that's what we would select. However, canvas size is going to be more appropriate because we want our line drawing to be exactly the same as whenever it was scanned. So we're going to go to canvas size, and you'll notice that there are these kind of arrows here, and there are these two dimensions here. One's the width and one's the height. Those should be pretty self-explanatory, the X and the Y dimensions. And all we have to do is type in how wide we want it to be, in this case 11 inches, and in this case 14 inches. You'll notice also that down here we have something that says background, and you'll see this magenta color. I had this magenta selected previously, but I don't want the outside of this entire drawing to be magenta. If I hit OK, you'll see what this does. It actually turns it gray. This is also because this is a grayscale image. If I were to do this when it was an RGB, so if I Control Z back, take my mode to RGB, and do the same thing, canvas size, set the actual dimensions when I do the canvas size, that is 11 by 14. It's bright magenta. You want to make sure that you have that selected to either be your background color if it's white, or to actually manually set it to white. I'm going to Control Z back to undo that again. Image, canvas size, canvas extension color, and white is here. If for some reason you can't select this, don't worry. I'll show you how to take care of that in just a second as well. I'll hit OK. And once again, I forgot to actually type in the numbers when I did this again. So we will type in 11 and 14. And now we have it at the proper size without having to scale or stretch our drawing. If you've been able to follow along this far, you're done with this tutorial. However, if you're noticing that you have a transparency along the outside, I'm going to try and replicate that for you. I'm going to hit Control Z to go back to our previous drawing. I'm going to unlock our layer, and I'm going to try the same thing. Canvas size. And you'll notice that this has no selection tool. It's all grayed out. And if I type in 11 and 14, you'll see that it's transparent all the way around. All Photoshop is telling us at this point in time is that there's no information there. In a lot of circumstances, this is actually helpful. It tells us that we haven't drawn anything white or there's nothing coming through on the other side. But if we want to see it a little bit clearer, since the checkerboard is kind of distracting, all we have to do is make a new layer. I usually come down to this little page icon down in the bottom right on your Layers tab. You'll see it's made a new layer. You can also do the same thing by coming up to Layer in the top, New Layer. And it will give you the option to name it here. We could also still save ourselves a step again by going to Color, and selecting one of these colors, although they do not have white to select here, which is somewhat different in this version of Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and just create the new layer this way, and then we can just put that behind the other layer, and all I'm doing here is dragging and dropping it. So you'll notice that layer 0 and layer 1 are changing. And then we just want to fill that with a white color. So if we come up to color, we can select our main color here. I just clicked on this, what is called the foreground color, and I'm going all the way to the top. You'll notice that everything here says 0. That means it's truly white. Hit OK. And then we'll come over to the paint bucket tool. This may look like the gradient tool at first. If it does, just go ahead and select the paint bucket tool below it by holding the icon. And with the layer selected that we just created, fill in that extra area. And now you're back to the same point we were at the beginning of this project, or at the beginning of this process. That last part's just a fix in case you didn't get it the first time. No worries. Otherwise, it may be important down the line, but for this drawing, this is kind of all we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten like we did in the previous tutorial, just by right-clicking and hitting Flatten Image. And then now it's ready to save as either a TIFF or a PNG or PDF or whichever you would prefer. Thank you. I hope this helps.